Hello, Dave. How are you?
Good man, not seeing you.
All right, I'm just sitting down now. It's sort of a test. We're a couple minutes early, and yet there's four people in here. That's nice. I really appreciate you doing this, David. You have a lot of fans, and I must have had about 4,000 responses to this.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I said. I mean, you must be really funky. But I'll tell you what, it was Tower of Power week this week on Facebook. And everybody's just enjoying you. We can see you well. This is working out really well. And I have a chat on the side, and they're going to ask questions. Right now, we're early, so four people are here already.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is just talk about you and how you became who you are, when you started, and Tower of Power, and who you studied with, and your publications.
Now, am I going to be seeing you?
Can you see me yet?
No, I see a drum set.
How's that? Look. All right. Let me give you a link, okay, to come to.
You can't do it right here?
I'm trying to. I'm very new at this.
Well, you shouldn't be. You should get old.
All right. I am old. Wait till you see me. Hold on a minute. Let me give you a link, and how to take you. Hold on. I'm going to send you something. Okay. One second.
So when you called, you sent an audio call or a voice video call?
A video call. Okay.
You're sure that you initiated a video call?
Absolutely. Hold on. I'm gonna give you this. Hold on. You're gonna get it right now on what happened? Oh man, I get too nervous. I'm very old. That's why. Just be a little bit patient with me. I appreciate that.
How old are you when you say old? What's old?
I'm 70 years old.
Oh man, yeah, you're fucked up, man. Oh, whoa, man.
Be nice. You're funny, man. Mike Clark was talking about that. Hit that link, it'll take you there.
Hit the link where?
I just sent you something here on the chat on Skype. There's a link there. It says mattpatellalivestream.com. You have a chat there, right?
Nope.
No. You want to write this down then? And you can hit it. Are you on Facebook at all?
I'm glad you got this organized.
It is organized. I wanted to do it a little early. Just so it's not as easy as that, you know? I'm going to send you the link on Facebook. Hold on. I'll send it in the notifications. It's all organized. It's just that, you're in California and it's the reception and all that good stuff. So here I go. I'm going to send you on something. That's on Facebook. You should hit that. Did you get it?
I'm opening Facebook now.
Okay. Take you there.
It will in a second.
Yep. There's a bit of a delay with this because of you're in California. I was talking to Mike Clark about you, and he just has nothing but respect for you, as everybody else does.
Yeah, it's my brother.
Is he?
Yeah, man.
Did you guys grow up together?
Well, we did a lot of music together. That's for sure. A lot of things. We met right after I got out of the military.
Uh-huh. Where in the military? You were what? In the Air Force, Army?
Air Force, Air
Uh-huh.
Force band.
I was in the Army band, and I was in there for 2 years. That's a nice duty. Did you get it up on your screen yet?
It's coming up right now. Here's live stream. Here it is.
You're on there now. You can see yourself.
Yeah,
You see me with the Evans T-shirt on.
yeah. Oh, yeah, I see it.
Okay, so we're good to go now. I usually do it a little earlier, and just so we can get a test, because sometimes the stream is not. It's not the way it's supposed to be. It just takes a little bit of tweaking. Anyway, I had last time I had Ted McKenzie. I don't know if you know who he is. He revised the Buddy Rich book. Then I had your buddy, and everybody's buddy actually, Bruce Becker.
No, Bruce Becker. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, man, he was on here. He just gave a whole lot of information to everybody. Nice guy, really nice. And he wants to keep doing this once a month. I mean, I guess that's cool.
That's real cool.
Yeah, then I had Mike Clark in my studio here, maybe 3 times, doing a live lesson on my live site. This is it. It's not this site because I can't stream drumming on this site, except on my other site because of the cameras, the coils, and the cameras, so it won't house the sound. But when he comes here 3 times already, and I had
That's
him.
cool.
Yeah, I had him, and I had I don't know if you know Carl Lathman. Do you know him?
No,
Rick, you know Rick Lathman, right?
Rick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be doing a show as well, like we're doing now. And I invite everybody, if you guys are in town, like if you're in a city or something, if you want to do a live broadcasting, I throw it out to your sponsors as a clinic, and they'll pay you. So if you'd like to do that, if you're in town, that's not a problem. And I have, well, you use Yamaha, correct?
I do.
Yeah. Well, if I use DW for that, would that create a problem?
So this stream I'm looking at is way behind.
Absolutely. That's not my fault. That's YouTube. That's how they have it set up. There's about, I say, a 5-second delay.
It seems like more than that here.
Yeah, it does, really. And you're coming in okay with, what's it called, the Skype, which just says that, the connection's a little weak, but it'll come back. But anyway, let's talk about you, where you started, how you started.
Okay.
How old were you?
Well, started when I was 10 years old, elementary school. And first started playing drum set when I was, I guess, about 15. Started in the elementary school band and all that. And then by the time I was 17, I was, started playing gigs. First gig was really paying gig was with a big band. And, it sort of went from there. When I discovered that I could make money playing, the drums, it sort of changed everything for me.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like where you are now, it's just everybody wants to be there. The way you smack those horns around, it's such unbelievable. And you make it look so easy.
Well, that's very kind, but it's like anything else. You just work at it, you keep developing it, keep trying to make it better, refining things.
Yeah, well, I've read a few articles on you about you practicing 6-7 hours a day.
Well, I used to do that. I mean, I practice every day now still, but not that long. But still, it put in a lot of time still.
Yeah, well, maybe we could get to you talking to the younger guys that are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Or that, there's a lot of guys that watch, but they don't go into the chat because they're kind of shy, or they're from another country. They can't write English as well, but they can understand it. Maybe you could give them some insight of when you started. You were on a drum pad, and what books did you go through, and who did you study with? Your reading.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I started in elementary school, so it was a school band program, you know,
Right.
and so the school band program was we had a marching band, there was a concert band, and all of that sort of thing. So it was very, very elementary. I mean, there was no, you know, nothing like it is today. There wasn't a lot of resources. It was pretty simple. You know, you learn rudiments, and that was pretty much it. I mean, private study came after I got out of the military. I started studying privately, and that's when things got a lot more serious, and my practice became more focused.
Okay. Uh, when I was in the service band as well. I told you before. I was stationed. I was in the Army band, and I did 3 years in Indianapolis and Savannah, Georgia. And where was your tours of duty when you were in the service?
I was at McCord Air Force Base in Tacoma, Washington.
Oh, that's close to your home then, right?
Well, you know, relatively close,
Right.
West Coast. You know, I'm the Bay Area, so that was, you know, up in you know, close to Seattle, you know, up in the Northwest. It was a great experience, man. I mean, I can't say anything other than that. I mean, you know, given the time that was, you know, Vietnam and all that, um, I was very fortunate to be able to do that and come home, you know, in one piece.
Well, I was during the same era, the Vietnam era, but I didn't go overseas. I stayed stateside. John Woo, you know John Woo, right?
I do.
Yeah, he's from. Yeah, he just came in, and he says hi to me and hi to you. So that's Mr. Dr. John. Great drummer, man. He's got that rudimental stuff down well.
Yes, he does.
I just love the guy. Well, I love all drummers actually. So what can I tell you? I've met a lot of different drummers on Facebook that are great guys, and
Hmm.
they've inspired me, and they're very humble, and they talk like just like the guy next door, as opposed to well, there's still a few guys that think they're stars, like you doing this right now, man. I mean, you're the higher echelons of the drumming community, and this is really nice of you to sit here on a Sunday morning in California and talk to everybody. And I think
Well,
this
it's my pleasure.
is, yeah, well, that's you have a lot of fans. It's unbelievable. I thought somebody like, is that your phone or mine?
It's my
Oh, that's okay. I didn't realize. I thought it was my phone. Sorry.
no. So we got. I'm in our office here in my house, and so we got phones and other stuff going on here. You know.
You want to talk about your experience of auditioning, perhaps, or starting the Tower of Power? It's what 30 years stuck with you, or 35 years?
Well, Tower was a couple of the guys that see. I was playing in Oakland at a place called the On Broadway. I had just gotten out of the military, and I was playing it with a band in there called the Reality Sandwich. And Mike Clark was. That's when I met Mike and Paul Jackson. And Mike was also in the band. We were like taking turns, like subbing for their regular drummer who had gotten hurt. And on this one particular night that I was playing, um, a couple of the Tower guys came in to sit in and play. And they came in, you know, a few times. And this one particular night, they asked me if I was interested in coming to check out their band because they were thinking about doing, you know, changing the drummer. And so I went and checked them out, and you know, fell in love with it. They sounded great immediately. You know, I knew I was going to be in it as soon as I heard it, and pretty much it. I mean, Emilio, the leader, he came and sat in with us. He invited me to come and play with the band. So that was it. I mean, from that point on, it was just, you know, it kept going, and we started recording right away.
A lot of rehearsing, right?
Rehearse every day. That was kind of like for years we did that. Every day was a rehearsal. If we weren't gigging or doing something else, it was always a rehearsal. And even today on show days, we still rehearse.
Well, it's very tight, your group. I mean, it's so tight. It's beautiful. I just love it. And I'm a Power fan myself, and it's not it's the whole group in general. But I'm partial to the drummers. I mean, you can understand that.
Well, of course. Hello.
But anyway, that's a lot of hard work. I mean, you're touring all over the world, I guess, right?
Yeah, we do.
Where are
We're
you are touring right now?
well, right now I'm sitting in my house,
Nah, I thought you
and
were moving.
and then pretty soon we start up. We this next weekend we started Lake Tahoe, and then we get all through the summer we'll be busy Japan, and
That's nice.
uh, yeah, it's good. So
You,
we'll have a busy year. We've been busy up till now, and we have a little break right now, so it's great to be home, and then we start up again, and keeps going, always going.
yeah, well, being in your circumstances, traveling all over the place and being a family man, sometimes it's a little tough, you know. But
Yeah, my wife is fantastic. She when I leave, she says, "Okay, bye. See you when you get back."
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm pretty fortunate myself. I mean, I don't travel anymore. I'm more into education. But when I did travel, I was single. Then I remarried, and my wife is a drummer, and my son and daughter are drummers. So
Ooh,
our arguments are about paradiddles and ratomacues and funk and linear concepts.
safe arguments.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's a nice situation I'm in right now, and they're all for what we do, and they practice with me. It's like instead of going, let's go play baseball, Dad, let's see how fast we can do our singles and work on some singles. I said, all right, that's cool. So it's a good life for me. Are you going to be coming to the East Coast at all?
I think sometime later. Yeah, we're there like later in the year. Yeah, we've already been there. We're coming back like later in the year.
Well, after this is over with, I'm going to hook up with you and talk to you a little bit about when you're on the East Coast. Perhaps we could set something up to do a live lesson, and you could demonstrate your books, the Code of Funk
Hmm.
and Future Sounds. Great books, by the way.
Thank you.
Uh, they were very insightful to me, and I have my students come to me with the books in hand and say, "All right, Carl, let's work on this." I said, "Oh boy." So I really got to get it going on with that stuff, and it pushes me to really understand you and your concept and your approach, and I really respect that.
Oh well, thank you. Glad you enjoy it.
Yeah, well, everybody else seems to enjoy it too. It's a lot of hard work, Dave. And like you said, hard work is going to give you the end result that's going to make you happy.
Well, I don't think there's anything really that you can do without hard work.
Yeah,
So
you're correct. But I mean, I'm more of a jazz player as opposed to, using your linear concepts. I mean, do the play-alongs with the Code of Funk, and they're really nice. It's different every time, but almost the same. You know, the improvisation.
hmm
But when you're playing, or I'm watching you on YouTube, and you make it look so easy. I mean, that's just a natural thing for you. Or you've been doing it so long, it's I guess it's just second nature.
well, I don't know about natural. I mean, if you want things to appear that way, you have to spend a lot of time with the sticks in your hand.
Absolutely, I agree with that. You have a special routine? Your own personal routine, like practicing every day, or when you do practice.
Well, I practice every day. I spend a lot of time, just now that I'm home, I'm spending a lot of time working hand technique, um, and mechanics. So I spend a lot of time doing that. So, slow everything down, isolate things mechanically. And so that's kind of my project at the moment.
Uh, we have a question, if you don't mind. That's from
All right.
that's
Oh, it's from Johnny Wooten. Okay.
he's going to make you work. Did you see it?
Yeah.
No. I don't have that. Maybe I should read it out because, like I said, a lot of guys are not in. They can't understand the English that well. Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to read it. I have a question. This is
Yeah.
something I work on, promote, encourage, and teach. And I always use your recordings to demonstrate these. That is the contrast between accents and ghost notes, the clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you laughing,
Uh,
John?
what do I do to work on this? Well, it's kind of like I developed it, in the context of playing beats, and listening a lot to guys like Bernard Purdy, to me, who had the really, really most elegant sound when he played, in terms of like the his precision, the kind of his touch. He played really forcefully. I saw him play live a bunch of times and got to see him up close a lot. And so I sort of modeled my concept after what I saw him doing. And then I just continued to refine it. And so I tried to make the ghost notes as light and as transparent as possible. And I think to do that, your hands have to be in really, really good shape. You have to spend a lot of time developing hand strength and control so that you're able to play those ghost notes get the most transparent sound possible. Now, when I'm out on the road and I don't have a chance to practice and keep my technique where I want it, the ghost notes sometimes seem to get louder than I want them to be. And so, it just takes a lot of attention. You have to really focus on those light notes, practice really slowly to develop the distance between those two levels. But yes, it comes from just playing beats, learning how to play beats of all different kinds, and then applying that concept to those things.
Well, just to work well, first of all, let's talk about Bernard and say Steve Gadd. You say they're elegant, and they are. They really are. I think that when they do play, they're so committed to the groove and have so much control. And that's how I resonate your playing. I think that your playing is actually the same way when you're committed to that groove. And what I love so much about you, Dave, is the way you smack those horns. You're right on it, man. And that makes the whole thing.
Well, it's like playing in a big band. I mean,
yeah.
I view what I do as like kind of playing like in a big band, set up the figures in the same way and all of that, but it's just eighth notes and 16th notes, so it's the same kind of deal. You got some more questions here?
Yeah, I do. Do you use any other creative device to come up with the interesting and complex grooves?
Actually, there's a question before that. It says about permutation.
I'm sorry. You got to excuse me. I'm old. About permutations. You randomly assign voices to different patterns, and then see what works and what doesn't.
All of the above. I mean, whatever works for you, so that creatively you can make things happen for yourself. It's about discovery. You got to get in the practice room and just kind of sit and work stuff out and try different things. And, it's a project. The whole thing's a project, That was Brian Dewhurst.
Yeah.
Here's another one of his questions. Here's the one about creative. Do you use any other creative devices to come up with the interesting and complex groove I've heard you play? I'm not sure creative devices, but one thing always leads to another. So, like you work on, I kind of let one groove sort of morph into something else, so it's a building process. I keep a notebook. I have a notebook with all sorts of ideas that I use as source material for, my practicing, for songs, for, all different stuff. And so there's plenty of stuff to work on. The notebook, having a notebook to me has been really an amazing thing. I've had one for years, and I call it an active notebook, where I kind of like ideas that come up in the practice room, I'll write those things down, and it makes a huge difference in terms of, focusing on kind of like building a concept for yourself.
Well, I found that helped me as well. When I come across something new, if I don't write it down, I totally forget it. And it's like a reference, and that's really good.
Here's another one from Brian Dewhurst.
Okay.
Here's lastly, what are your thoughts about quantization of drum tracks? I'm assuming that, Brian, that you're talking about Pro Tools, and recording with Pro Tools. I mean, I think that's a modern fact of life in the recording studio. We use a combination of live tracks and built tracks, where I play a section of the song and refine it, and we kind of like keep moving through the song until everything is built. So we do it that way. Um, Playing live still is the most challenging, I think. Uh, but again, you're making records. And so I think you have to, have the accuracy to play in the studio. But again, there's so much technology, you have to sort of fight off the technology sometimes so that you can sort of retain your personality. But, I don't have any problem with any of the ways that recording is done today. It's just a fact of life, and you embrace it.
Go with it. Okay, I guess that's the last question. We talk about your books, your publications. Yeah. Which one would you like to talk about first? The Code of Funk or Future Sounds?
Future Sounds was the first one.
Right.
And the Future Sounds book was came out of a manuscript that I had done. I still have it, of kind of my original thinking about how I wanted to build a book. And so it was everything that I thought about the drums I put into this book. And so I took it around to various publishers and didn't like kind of what I was hearing about what they wanted to do with it. And so I had heard of this guy named Sandy Feldstein, who was the editor, percussion editor at Alfred Publishing. And so he was a pretty reputable guy, and everybody was always talking about him, and I'd seen his name in books and that kind of stuff. And so I called him. I called Alfred Publishing, said, let me talk to Sandy. They put me through to him and asked if I could come and show him my book. And he said, of course, so come on in. And I was pretty blown away that I was even able to reach him. And so I took my book in there. And Sandy was a former college professor, teacher, drummer, music publisher, composer, author. I mean, he did all these different things. A very smart, really pleasant guy. And so he took my book home and he graded it like a college paper. He said he put it out on his dining room table and looked through it all. And, brought it, we met after he looked at it. And he had graded it just like a college paper. I was pretty impressed. And he said, this is really great. I enjoy it. I think you have something going on here. However, and then of course he says, however, then, you start, uh-oh. And so he says, this is really great, but you have to have a subject. And I thinking, well, I have a subject. It's the drums. And he said, yes, but it's not focused enough. You have to have really an aspect of drumming that you want to communicate, a theme. And so he says, go home, and when you come up with this, come back and we'll continue. So I said, holy shit. So he sent me off. I went home, racked my brain for a couple weeks, and I discovered that kind of trying to think of, well, what is the thing about drumming that excites me the most? And the thing about it was all the beats and all the grooves and all that stuff. And well, of course, you do that with hi-hat, snare, and bass drum. So I thought, okay, there's my theme. So I called him up, went back to see him, and told him what I was, what I wanted to write about. He shook my hand and said, let's go, let's do it. And so we went from there. I mean, he was such a cool guy. We didn't even sign a contract until the book was done. It was all like on a handshake. And he never once, in all the times I worked with him, we did a book, we did videos and all that stuff, he never interrupted the creative process ever. He never injected his ideas into it. It was always about getting me to think about what the next step was. And his questions and comments always led me to the next step. He was pretty smart about it. So he had opinions, but he never forced those opinions on you. He would say things to make you think about the direction that you were headed. And it was really amazing working with the guy. I miss him. He passed away several years ago now, but he's a brilliant man.
Yeah. We get disconnected?
No,
Oh,
I just stopped talking.
oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Like I said, I'm really new at this, and I'm trying to make it work so I can bring this out there to all the drummers in the world. The YouTube channel has a tremendous amount of traffic, and it gets a lot of exposures to other drummers. It's a new thing, and we're trying to work it out. But here we have somebody from Brazil, we have somebody from Mississippi, we have somebody from Virginia, we have somebody from England, and I think that's a good thing.
It's cool. The guy from Mississippi's got to be John Wooten.
Of course, he's giving me a noise. He said, David's the only one that calls me Johnny. That's all right. This Dr. John is really he's an incredible technician, and he is very creative. And when you're talking about the process of not being interfered with, because it was your book, and he was more of a mentor in that way. He was actually squeezing your ideas out of you to put down. That's how I see that. I think the book itself, man, its subject matter, it opened up a lot of doors to me. And people just say I'm a very creative person, but your book opened it all up. And I'm sure everybody who uses your book has a better understanding of the flow of funk and linear concepts. I think it's just a great book. Then the play along. Yeah, I'm sorry.
First of all, just for terminology's sake, the term linear, I never heard that, in reference to drumming before Gary Chafee. Gary, I met in early 70s on a trip to Boston with Tower Power, and I met Casey Sherrill, who now teaches at Berkeley, and Doug Florence, who lives in Florida, great drummers, and they were students at Berkeley in Boston. And so they came down to see our show. And we met, they came and introduced themselves, we met, started hanging out, and they took me to meet Alan Dawson and Gary Chafee. And when Gary heard me play, he got really interested in kind of where I was coming from, and so he had me come and play a little session with the faculty ensemble at Berkeley, and it was Gary Burton and Pat Metheny, Dave Samuels. So it was all these really heavyweight dudes, and I didn't know anything about these guys. They were all young. So I really had no idea about kind of what they were doing. I just kind of went in there, and he had me play with them. They kind of stood around me like they had lab coats on or something, and they were watching me play, and it was pretty cool. From that point, Gary sort of started getting into that kind of playing, and discovered that, because my approach was more of a layering sort of thing. It was like one rhythm on top of another, as opposed to the linear idea, which is notes that are next to each other in a line. And so when Gary started doing all of this, he discovered that for himself, he liked the sound of the more linear sound, he called it. It was less dense, and that appealed to him more. So that's how he started developing his concept of it. And the term linear drumming can be attributed historically to Gary.
Well, perhaps the term, but everything is, there's a lot of controversy going on about linear. What is linear? It's harmonic, what's the relationship to it?
Well, there shouldn't be any controversy because it explains itself.
I agree with that. I agree.
Linear is a line. There's linear, like a linear instrument would be a flute. You can't play chords on it.
Right. Well, I teach out of all of Gary's books, and one thing maybe you could help me out with, can straighten it out. He has a section in time functions, which he calls fatback. And I looked at that, and it's, to me, nowhere near a fatback. Maybe he got the term, I'm not sure. I've sat down with Gary, and he's just a great person, man. He's a great instructor and a great player. And he's put out some heavy-duty people. But when he says fatback, did he actually mean a heavier backbeat as opposed to a true
He's just talking about a fat groove. I mean,
that's
you know, it's just a name that he gave something, you know, creatively to describe what he's doing. I don't think it's any more than that. I mean, you know, it's a cool title, but it, you know, you get the idea when he says fatback, you get the idea of what it means. Nice fat groove, you know.
Well, I have like I was telling you before, a live online lesson site, and what I've been working at over the last couple of weeks is the Gary Shafee book, Time Functions, and I labeled the lesson as Shafee meets Stone. You know, and I incorporate George Lawrence Stone's concepts, his teaching, and it really works out very well, and, you know, with my students. But Gary, man, is just an amazing teacher. I met him in 69 or 7 in that area, up in Berkeley, when he was the head of the department. That's after Alan was retired or went on the road, I think, with Brubeck. I'm not sure. But all good people up there. I mean, you got some heavy-duty people. Who's doing the music for it? A lot of great people come out of it.
Yeah, Gary's books were, at the time I met him, he didn't have the books. Those things that went into his books were like handouts that he used in his classes at Berkeley. And, you know, they became his books. And then, of course, as he developed his concept, all that stuff developed. You know, he got more and more stuff going on, you know.
Well, his original copies, when he first published them out, they didn't have the jacket they have now. They had a very simple jacket. Then he brought this jacket that he has now with the spiral casing, and now he just has the other kind of the third edition. So it's like 3 editions that he's had out there. And, you know, I don't know, he's someplace, he's retired, I guess, correct? And
he's off the road,
and he's teaching, I don't know where he's from, but he's
Boston.
Well, he's from what? Is he in the Boston area still teaching, though?
Still there.
Yeah. The guy, man, is great.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal guy. Now, here's another question from Brian Dewhurst. It says, I find your transcripts very challenging. Do you have any suggestions about how to get through these, analyze and practice pulse by pulse versus get the hands together, then the feet? I guess if you want to play the transcriptions, you know, that's kind of a monumental task, really. I mean, it's a lot of density in it, you know, and those things. But, you know, you just have to, like, work it a measure at a time, really, until you can work, you know, look for phrases in there. There's grooves, you know, that are kind of the theme of the songs, and you kind of build on those basic things. I think I've described some of that in the books and things that I do, you know, that include some transcriptions. I have a book of Tower transcriptions that's coming out this summer. It's called Off the Record. Alfred Publishing is putting it out. And it's 10 Tower songs that I transcribed note for note. And it's a lot of, you know, Squib Cakes and, you know, Soul Vaccinated. These are like the recorded versions.
Wow. And
so different than the live versions and, you know, than what we do now on some of those songs. But, you know, back to Brian's question was, I would just work it measure by measure and just kind of work out some of the more difficult phrases and kind of, you know, piece things together and then develop it so that you can play longer phrases, that kind of stuff. But again, when you're playing someone else's material, basically you're learning to quote them. You're quoting someone else's, you know, work, which is cool. You learn a lot that way. But again, you just got to go through it slowly. It's a project, you know, part of a, you know, your study, just a project. So, Brian, I hope that answers your question.
Well, it straightened me out anyway. Thank you for responding to that question, Dave. That we talked about that the code of funk. We didn't get into the difference between that and your the second book that you put out is the code of funk.
No, that's not the second one. That's like the code is like the fourth one.
Oh, I only have two of your books.
There's a whole bunch of stuff out there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, hey, no big deal.
Okay.
Well, the code was like I wanted to do something with technology, and Rob Wallace at Hudson Music and I have been pals for a long time because he from the Drummers Collective, and he was involved in when I did my first video stuff. He was one of the producers along with Sandy Feldstein, him and Paul Siegel. So we were friends for a long time, great guy. And so I wanted to do this book and I wanted to use technology. So we took tracks from the Tower Power Oakland Zone recording and sort of remixed them and looked for a way to make loops out of everything. And we couldn't find the right person. It took a long time to find the right person to get exactly what we wanted using technology to present the material in the way that I had envisioned it. Because I wanted to take sections of the songs and, make those practice loops that you could use with GarageBand and, so you could practice grooves. But in taking sections of songs, you didn't have to think about a song form. And so we looked around, couldn't find anybody, and really the project stalled for quite a while. And then I know Tony Verderosa, who was a Yamaha drummer, and he was also really, really great with all electronic drums and all the kind of, electric side of things. And so we contacted him, and he had been doing a lot of jingles and also was really skilled with the Mac and the PC format in terms of making samples and all that stuff. So we got him involved in the project, and he said, "Man, this is no problem. We can do this." And so he was really the guy that made all of the loops, made it all work. I wanted long sections of songs to be used as loops, which is kind of difficult to do. And he made all that work. So kind of went from there. That was kind of the idea with the book. And so, have a really nice cutting edge technology thing to go with, a real in-depth look at, the parts that I played and the songs themselves.
Well, Tony Vigorosa, I've seen him a couple of times in clinic. Great drummer.
Yeah, he's a fabulous drummer.
I like him.
Really smart guy. Really knows what he's doing.
Let's go down a little bit with this practicing. I don't want to take away from the books or anything, but a special routine that you have, maybe to loosen your hands up. Is there anything that you do in general to do that?
Well, stick control for one.
Oh, that book. Oh, that one.
The Rudimental Ritual, Alan Dawson's Rudimental Ritual. That's really great. John Wooten's books are here, in my house. I have those.
Great books.
Lately, I've been into there's a drummer that I know in Europe. His name is Klaus Hessler.
Great drummer.
And he has a really fabulous book out that's available only in Germany now. And it focuses on all the Civil War fife and, Basel drumming, fife and drum stuff. Really amazing look rudimentally at historically those things. And then what he did is he took those traditional, fife and drum things, like, for instance, like Gary Owen, and then he rewrites it using Basel drum concepts, Swiss drumming concepts, and adapts his own, interpretations of the rudiments to that. So there's an original Gary Owen in the book, and then he calls it another Gary Owen. And so it's brilliant, a brilliant book, and he has an international version that's coming out pretty soon. So I've been working out of that every day. It's super challenging, but man, your hands, they get worked in ways that you absolutely never do. Pretty fantastic.
John lost the feed. All right, John, well, let's come back. It happens. But, Dave, I really appreciate you doing this. And all these drummers, man, I'm gonna probably be on the computer for the next few days responding to these guys. I really appreciate it. I don't know, how much longer would you like to stay? You've been on here almost an hour.
Well, we can answer a few more questions. John's got a question here. He says, in the Future Sounds book, would you agree that in order to make the exercises applicable, one would need to do them without reading the music eventually? Well, the thing that the book teaches is the concept of accented notes and ghosted notes. So conceptually, you take that idea and apply it to the way that you play. That was my whole idea. The design of Future Sounds was never to be an A through Z sort of a deal about coordination, but it was kind of my take on different little coordination ideas, but using that ghosted note, accented note concept and developing a sound when you play. That's one of the main concepts of the book. And so if you conceptually, you learn that, you can apply that to any playing that you do. And if you find, that's basically what you're hearing when you listen to Bernard Purdy and all these other guys. They're doing that.
Yep.
And Mike Clark, kind of that's the technical, the mechanical side of playing funk and rock and all of that, is sonically what goes on.
Is there any particular exercise that you would recommend to develop the ghost note?
Well, see, now that's not even what we've been talking about, though.
I know that.
Matt, it's good. You're talking about a concept that you apply to any rhythm, any beat that you play. Paradiddles, you can apply that to paradiddles. If you think about a paradiddle, right, left, left, right, left, left, you think, put an accent on the first of each of a group of 4 notes and then ghost the others. That's conceptually what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I realize
that. So there's an exercise right there.
Well,
there's not a particular exercise as much as it is your ability to sort of create a way to achieve that for yourself, which can be done, like you have the concept, which you could call like the fishing pole and the fishing line, and then use that to fish,
I lost the feed.
You didn't lose any feed. I stopped talking.
Oh, thank you. Would you say something?
Yeah. What would you like me to say?
All right, I thought it was my old age thing going on. All right, listen, Dave, we can wrap it up if you like.
Sure.
You like messing with me, huh? That's okay. I can take it.
It's all good.
I know it's all good. And you were very insightful today, and all the gentlemen that have witnessed your talking and insights or your concepts, your approaches, are going to be extremely happy, and they're going to go sit and practice now.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. I was honored to be on your show, and my best to all your listeners and to you.
Well, like I said, when you come to the East Coast, you know, we're going to hook up maybe and set something up that you can do a show here live.
See what happens.
I appreciate it. So,
All
guys,
right, brother.
yeah, I'm sorry. Any more questions before we leave? Nope, I guess not. There's a delay. But all right, I appreciate that so very, very much, Dave. You're an inspiration to all the drummers.
Oh, you're very nice, my friend. You guys have a really great day, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, have a good day.
All right, brother. Bye.
Thank you.